And I'm going to say the Train Your Dragon remake reviews are in, with Disney having well over a decade of live action adaptations of its famed animated features under its belt. It's a trend still going strong, judging by the live action Lilo and Stitch box office numbers. Let's see. I think my special guest just wrote me. Nope, not yet. Not yet. Okay. Now, DreamWorks Animation is trying to cash in on the trend with a live action remake of How to Train Your Dragon opening this Friday. Reviews are now in. And 49 count, the film's up to 84% on Rotten Tomatoes and 61 out of 100 on Metacritic. The softly positive reviews suggest the film's a very loyal adaptation of the original work, and therein lies its problem, which is the same as all the films of this ilk. There's no real reason for it to exist. Here's a sampling of the reviews. It's hard to improve on the first one, though the last act looks positively iconic in this new incarnation, unlocking the expressionistic power of heavy metal tunes and Boris Vallejo paintings. That director can still find excitement and joy in this well-tread story is a testament to both his work and source material. No one needs a live-action remake, but ones this faithful and sweet are not the problem. It's the kind of immersive sensation and giddy wish fulfillment that might just have you forgetting momentarily to breathe, and more importantly, that you're still in a movie theater. It's clearly made with love and care, but shows far too much deference to its. How many more? Anyway, all that's really changed in How to Train Your Dragon is now distinctly less charming and less playful than before, with even its piece de resistance toothless losing some of the cute factor. Okay, I've heard enough. So I say that, and I saw the movie last night, and I did an out of the theater reaction to it, and I don't disagree with a lot of that stuff. I disagree with the notion of, and I know that I'm not in this camp with a lot of people, but I disagree with just proving the point that these things don't need to be remade. It's fun to see these animated things in live action. It's fun to see it. And the one thing I did agree with very much so is that the end of this movie is gorgeous, and it's great to see a lot of the stuff that you had, because we just myself and Tina just rewatched. Well, I just saw it, rewatched it. She just saw it for the first time. The first one, it's the same movie. I mean, you pretty much could almost call this a re-release. It's the same movie. There's two arguments to be made in this. The first one is, oh, I don't want to see it. I saw the first one. I like the first one. That's it. I don't need to see it. I like the first one better. I like their animation. I liked what I saw. I don't need to see the second one, or a remake, or I don't need to see it in live action. Now, the flip side of that is, I love this movie. I want to see what it would look like with a real human being and dragons flying around. And I like the idea that they took the dragons, the animated versions of these dragons, put them in this real world setting. The kid that played from the Black Phone, I thought he was really good again as Hiccup. I thought everybody who's the leads were good. I didn't think that the main crew was the best. The crew of kids, they're fine. They're fine. But I just wanted to see how they were going to translate it. And the music looked good, and they didn't add a lot of things. It was great to see Gerard Butler back, but there wasn't a lot of stuff that added to it. But it was one of those things, though, that I again pushed back very much so when I said that I had never seen Lilo and Stitch, and I went to see the live action. But why would you do that? If you haven't seen the first one, why would you even see? Why would you see it? Because of a situation like this. I am so curious to see how people who don't know this story and people who aren't familiar with this, and if this is the first time, does the emotion hit differently? Because the emotion didn't hit all the way for me, because I knew the beats. I knew all the beats to the movie. I knew what was going to happen. I knew where it was going. I knew nobody was in peril. I knew that the father and the son were going to, eventually make up and all that. And when you watch it, that's the beauty of the first one. You don't know when you're watching it. Man, summer is here. I'm excited for it. It is time to relax, get some sun, do all the things that make summer really, really special. And the number one thing that you don't want to be doing all summer is spending hours upon hours cooking. This is what I love about Factor. Factor has chef-crafted, dietitian-approved meals are ready. They're just 2 minutes, taking the hassle out of eating well. So there's 45 weekly menu options. You can pick gourmet meals that fit your summer games, your goals, choose from options like Calorie Smart, Protein Plus, Keto, and more. Enjoy more this summer. Get Factor if you want all the flavor and none of the fuss. I've told you since I have been going to the gym, since I've been trying to focus on health, Factor has been instrumental in helping me do it. I use it, and you should too. So, if you want to get Factor, and you should get Factor, get started at Factor with factormeals.com/Christian50off, but use that code Christian50off to get 50% off, plus free shipping on your first box. That's code Christian50off at factormeals.com/Christian50off for 50% off, plus free shipping. Factormeals.com/Christian50off. And there's the magic and the soul and the essence of it is wonderful. They do a great job because there's all the returning characters. And I don't just mean the actual characters in the movie, but the people around it that would make it. Dean DeBlois returning as director, that they're treating this with love. The other thing that I think it is going to be great for, cover your ears. This is going to be great for kids. This is going to be aimed towards kids. It's a PG movie, and kids are going to make this movie a success. This is going to be aimed towards children, and children are going to love this. Regardless if they've seen it, they're not going to hold you to that same standard. My special guest is getting set up right now. I can see the camera move, or I can see the box that has signed in. I'm very excited for you guys to see. Nobody guessed. Oh, my special guest is getting ready. Can't wait. And what a perfect person to talk about this story with. How to Train Your Dragon. I think my special guest, give me a thumbs up if you're ready to go. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce you to the one and only, the greatest Schmoedown player of all time. Dangerous Dan Merle is here.
Hello, hello.
Look at that. What a gift. What a gift.
A gift. Wow.
How are you?
I'm doing well. It's weird. When I came into the studio, I heard the tail end of what you were saying, and I knew exactly what movie you were talking about.
Right. So you saw it also, and so my thoughts. I haven't done my full kind of review on it. I just did an out of theater, but essentially there was no embargo on it, so I gave kind of a longer out of the theater reaction to it last night. And my summary summarized, it was like, look, if you haven't seen this movie, you're going to hit all those emotional beats, and you probably feel it for the first time. If you know these emotional beats, it's really just fun to watch it come alive in a live action. But I can also see the argument of like, I didn't feel anything because I knew everything that was going to happen.
Yeah, it's weird. The embargo dropped at 1:00 in the morning, my time.
Yeah,
on Tuesday or Monday, which is weird. Yeah, I came from if you see my review, you know, they said basically the same thing. I had seen the original one time,
okay,
when we did the honest trailer for it forever ago, and I remembered some of it, but I didn't remember a lot of it, and I really liked the movie. I went back after and watched the animated one again, and it is a 1-to-1 pretty much recreation.
Yep. It's like a re-release.
It is in a way, but my thing, and I heard a little bit about, like I said, what you were saying before, kids. I think that the screening I saw, it was some critics, and then it was some families that had gotten advance tickets. And from what I could see, the kids in the audience loved it. Loved it. They thought it was fun and exciting. It had that kind of buzz, you get in a theater after, you can tell the audiences enjoyed it. A lot of the comments I got in my review are just anti, and I get it. The idea of bringing back all these older movies and remaking them, etc., what it means for creativity, I get that. But also, having seen most of these live action remakes, I think it's a really good movie. But it's because I don't have the other one memorized beat for beat, and I don't notice all the changes, and I don't see what they didn't do. I just see what they did do.
Yeah, and when I saw it, because we just did a reaction to it that we're going to put on the channel tomorrow, I believe. And I hadn't seen it in quite a bit, but I'm glad that I did, because there's not really a lot that they change at all, to be honest with you. There's really not a lot at all. I mean, they add a couple of scenes or dialogue or other things, and I think they give the Nick Frost character a little bit more to do in this than he does and he's got enough to do in the original, but he's got more to do in this one. But I can hear what you're saying, man, because there were kids in my screening too, and the spectacle of it. And it is one of those things that you could see, especially people in our industry, where it's going to be like, put your feet down and go, they don't need to do stuff like this. And it's like, yeah, but look at the magic in that kid's eyes right now. That kid is seeing what we're not. We're not seeing that because they don't care about, well, they shouldn't remake things. They just get to see live action dragons flying around with human beings, and it makes it more real to them. So that's why I think it's going to do well. How's this thing tracking, by the way?
You know, I was actually trying to look that up for charts yesterday.
Yeah.
And there's not a lot of new tracking. The last one I saw was they were saying like 65 to 75.
Okay.
But I wouldn't be surprised if it was. I mean, we'll see though. How to Train Your Dragon has always performed worse than I thought it was going to. The animated ones, I always projected them to. I think one of those summer box office competitions, maybe even one of the ones I competed against you in.
Okay.
I projected it was How to Train Your Dragon 2 to be huge, and it did well, and so naturally I did the same thing this year and projected this one to be like the #2 movie of the summer. But seen a lot of the updated tracking. I'm curious to know how it's going to do as well.
And unlike the Minecraft movie, unlike Lilo and Stitch, it has competition. Right? Like those two movies I just mentioned. I don't know if Minecraft is still in the theater anymore, but Lilo and Stitch certainly is still in the theater. Ilio's coming out right around the corner. So it's got more competition than those other movies had. So you got to have, as you know better than anyone, you got to have a good second week in order to really make it up. Do you think that this movie is going to have legs?
I think it depends on what audience shows up. I think that the family audience, the ones that maybe aren't as connected to the original, are really going to enjoy it as people enjoyed the first movie. It's, I say these live action things are a no-win scenario, and it's you brought up Lilo and Stitch. It's very curious to see, same director, writer, directors, both movies.
Oh, really?
Chris Sanders directed Lilo and Stitch. Dean DeBlois directed How to Train Your Dragon. They wrote both movies together.
Right.
Lilo and Stitch came out, and the comments and stuff that I saw were like, I can't believe it. They changed so much. It's not even the same movie anymore. And this one comes out, and the comments are, I can't believe it. They didn't even change any, or they changed nothing. It's the same movie. And it's like, this is why it's a no-win scenario with so many of these live action remakes.
The only way you win is the box office. That's how you win. You look at, because Lilo and Stitch, they don't care what you think. They're laughing all the way to the bank. The movie's going to make close to $1 billion. You know, and there are those. You're right. There's either that. Because I just had not seen Lilo and Stitch the original before I saw this. Then I went and saw it, and they do change some stuff for sure. The ending is fairly different, but there's a lot of stuff that they still take. And I think there's a lot of different ways you could do these and what they've done. You look at like Cinderella, which I still think is one of the best ones.
That's like that and Jungle Book for me.
Yeah,
with Disney are like, that's how to do it.
I agree.
You take the original, you throw in some new stuff, a little bit of flair, keep the spirit. Like those are the gold standard, I think, for how to do these things.
And then you try to go too radical, and you go, whether it's a Snow White or whatever it might be, and it's like you got to stay true to the essence of in order to get people. And this one is more in the vein of like Lion King, where they didn't want to mess anything. They didn't want to. We had a couple of different things in dialogue, but for the most part, it's pretty much just kind of a shot-by-shot remake.
Well, and I mentioned this in my review too. The difference for me between this and Lion King was Lion King, I thought they delivered an inferior version of the shot-for-shot stuff. So like, I just can't wait to be king. And I rewatched it not too long ago. It's such a great song with big, bright, vibrant colors in the cartoon, and in the live action, they're just literally running around a field singing. Be Prepared was such this great Shakespearean thing, and the animated and the live action, it's just kind of Chiwetel Ejiofor doing spoken word poetry. I didn't think it impacted as much, and I think the big difference for me with this one is I think it does. It is shot for shot, but I think the impact is still there.
Well, you know what it is also too, Dan? Is that The Lion King is essentially computer animated the whole way through. There's no humans in it.
Right.
Like you can't relate to any human beings in it. And this, it was awesome to see Gerard Butler come back and reprise his role. The kid, what's the kid's name in Black Phone?
Mason Thames.
He's great.
This kid's a great actor.
He's great.
He's great.
And that's got to be Thandie Newton's daughter, right?
I don't know. I hadn't thought about that.
She looks just like her.
I don't know.
It's got to be
a good question.
Daughter. I feel. And was she in Last of Us? Like
she was. She was in Last of Us. Yeah,
she's Thandie Newton's daughter. And because I mean, the second she shows up, like, oh, that's Thandie Newton's daughter, without even realizing it because she looks like Thandie Newton. But either way, I think that this is a movie that is going to be do very well. I think that because of, as I've said many times over, if you can hit the formula for kids' movies in the summer, you're going to win because the families don't have a lot of stuff to see during the year. Yeah,
and you mentioned Elio. I think this is going to be interesting. That's one of my big X factors this summer is how's Elio going to do?
And what do you think? You think it's going to do well?
I think that we're probably more likely to see a run closer to Elemental than a Pixar sequel. I think that it's just harder to sell an original idea. We'll see what the critics think of it. I don't think it's going to go like Strange World, with Disney, where it's just like a total bomb. But I would be more surprised to see it do something like Elemental, which is where, it opens okay and then hangs around for a bit. But who knows? I mean, especially family films.
You can't tell.
It's so hard to predict what kids want to see, what families are going to take their kids to see.
Yep.
And if it's great, and if the buzz is great, then I think that could really help to get people out.
That's the major factor for Ilio, because Ilio does not have the benefit of having the IP like Lilo and Stitch or How to Train Your Dragon or Minecraft. It doesn't. It's like you said, it's an original movie that it's got it. The buzz has to be through the roof, and everyone's like, you got to see this one. You got to check. This is a sweet movie because it's got an opportunity to do that. And this is what this is what Lilo and Stitch did when it came out. This is what How to Train Your Dragon did when it came out. Nobody knew what the hell it was. It was like, it's a brand new thing. So it's got to be able to win by doing it that way.
Yeah. I mean, Inside Out, Pixar is able to do that, but that was 10 years ago. And I think Inside Out was easier to sell to kids because you had the more cartoonish characters, and the concept was very easy. I think that's the biggest thing with Elio is nobody's really quite sure what it's about. It's aliens and the kid, but it's like, it's not easy. Like Inside Out is like, it's a bunch of emotions in somebody's head, and they're, and you see like, it's a very easy concept to sell. Elio, I think, is a little bit more difficult to kind of get across what you're doing.
So do you know when I found out that Elio had anything to do with aliens?
No, when?
About 3 seconds ago.
Really?
I knew nothing about this movie at all.
Yeah.
I don't know anything about it. I didn't see a trailer. I've seen nothing. I'm going to see it next week. And this shows how I respect Pixar, right? Because and because of what you just said, the original idea, I had an opportunity to go see F1 on Monday night. And I chose Elio. People go, why would you do that? Because there's going to be more screenings of F1, and there's not going to be any more of Elio. And I want to see it. And I want to see. I'm hoping it's good. I'm rooting for him. But F1 is like one of my most anticipated of the year. It was not an easy decision.
Yeah, Elio, that's tough for me because I have on the same night right now, I've got a screening 5 hours this way for 28 Years Later. And I've got a screening 5 hours this way for Elio.
God. And
I think I'm going to go with 28 Years Later, but it's not an easy call.
If you're in that scenario, you're making the right decision.
And I can't make embargo for Elio if I go to that one because it's after the embargo drops. So it's like, I think I got to go with 28 Years Later in this one.
Yeah, and then the other thing is, I think that the Monday night screening is for F1 is premiere. I don't want to do the premiere. I like going. I'm an old man now, Dan. I like to just go sit down. I went to a screening last night for this movie, for How to Train Your Dragon, and it was the AMC right near Penn Station. So you get off, you walk. It's a 4 or 5 minute walk. I went, I watched the movie. I went outside. I shot my out of the theater reaction. I looked and I said, "Uh-oh, my train's coming in 6 minutes. Can I make it?" I walked back to Penn Station. I was on the train. I made it home. I was like, "Oh, that's my favorite theater of all time."
Oh, you would hate what I have to do to go to screenings then.
I wouldn't do it. I would. People do not understand how much Dan Murrell puts into this. Like, I would not do it. But what you do, driving 5-6 hours to get there, another 5 or 6 to get back. God bless you. God bless you.
I mean, I pick and choose. I don't go to everyone.
but you would go to enough, and I there's first of all, there's no world I could do that anyway because of my kids. You know, I just wouldn't.
Sure.
I wouldn't be able to do that. But good on you. But anyway, we got a lot of movies still coming out. What's your most anticipated for the rest of the summer? Is it Superman?
Yeah.
Yeah. Same.
Yeah. I mean, but Fantastic Four is coming up quick though on it.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm digging it. I'm digging everything I see. I'm digging it more and more. But yeah, Superman is probably still top of the list.
Same. Now again, I always ask you box office numbers. You know, the projection of Superman hitting that 175. You think, is that people being hopeful, no pun intended, or do you think that this is a possibility? 175 to 200, you got a great shot of hitting that $1 billion.
I mean, that would be great. I just think it's way too early to. I've talked about tracking and stuff before. I mean, I get it. It's a nice tool to use, but there's so many X factors. Number one being, is it any good or not? I mean, especially a movie like Superman,
right.
There is a floor, and I think that floor is somewhat determined by reaction or at least buzz, etc. Because you know, people were all high on Flash, and then it just splatted.
Yeah.
So I think if it's a great Superman movie, sure. But tracking it's a great discussion point, but there's just too many X factors to really say, oh yeah, no, it's definitely going to do that, or it's not going to do that.
Right. I agree. I think that, you know, I do think there's more hype on this Superman than previous Superman before them. And I do think opening weekend, it'll have the biggest Superman opening. Mm-hmm. But like I just said before, it's all about week 2. And
I mean, Man of Steel, Batman v Superman. Mm-hmm. I don't mean to just single out Snyderverse movies, but you can get a good opening week, but the story is told in week 2 and in week 3, and that's what we talk about on charts all the time. Is it's like, yeah, we'll talk about a movie's opening, but we track the movie through the next few weeks because that's where much of the story is also told.
And you're going to give it some leeway because by week 3, I think it is, that's when Fantastic Four comes out. They've got a short window. Because, and this is another conversation we've been having on this show that I'm sure you and I are on the same page. We both think Jurassic World will be not great. It's going to be the same monster movie of the week. Mm-hmm. Same thing, genetics in the lab, and there's some big monster that should be in Kong vs. Godzilla. The movie's going to make $1 billion because internationally, people love dinosaurs.
Yeah, but the Chinese market ain't what it used to be. And I've seen some signs that the franchise is fading a little domestically. So I don't have it pinned in for $1 billion like a lot of people do. No, I don't. Okay. I don't. It may well do that, but it's not an automatic for me.
My thought process on it is the fact that that's the type of movie you really internationally, you don't care if subtitles are on or if they're not on because you don't care what the people are saying anyway.
Right.
You just want to see.
It might be better if you didn't know what they were saying.
That's what I'm saying. But that's what I'm saying. The monsters are there, and you're like, okay, I don't care what these Americans are saying. I don't give a crap. I just want to watch dinosaurs. There's a dinosaurs. Great. Superman. This looks like it's going to be an emotional story. At least a lot of it is going to be an emotional story. Sure, you're going to have Superman fighting aliens and all that, but it's the core. You got to really lock into it. So, and I don't know if an American superhero, and he is. I don't care what they say about. Well, he's not. Truth, justice, and the American way. He was built on. He's an American hero. So there's going to be a lot of people. There's a commenter in here, a loyal commenter every day, who said that he was at a screening and he's in Canada, and Superman came on. They said booing the screen because.
Well, that is the concern. Superman is, other than obviously, literally Captain America. Mm-hmm. Superman is probably the hero that's most associated with quote unquote the USA. I mean, it's truth, justice, in the American way, etc. And just putting politics and the political situation aside, that could hurt its international prospects because you know it may be a different cultural sell, as in like you know a little less popularity. I think that Superman kind of transcends a lot of that, but that is something to consider. Is the idea that Superman is a little more associated with the United States specifically than you know. Even Iron Man, although Iron Man, I think, is a lot more of a commentary on.
Well, but even Captain America was trying to say, well, it's not just about America, and it's like it's which I don't know if that was the best move, but either way, you have this international kind of battle here between Fantastic Four, Jurassic World, Superman. I think internationally, my opinion, I think Jurassic World is going to win internationally. Domestically, I think Superman wins. And if Fantastic Four does not do well, Marvel's in serious, serious trouble here.
Yeah. I mean, because Fantastic Four, it's not just about this movie. Thunderbolts, whatever. They can never do another Thunderbolts movie, and I don't think that their whole mythology is going to collapse. Fantastic Four is being set up as a linchpin to, and they've already had one of them pulled out with Kang. And then if you have an issue with Fantastic Four now, yeah, I mean, this is probably the greatest sort of jeopardy I feel like Marvel's in, true jeopardy in a really long time. I think maybe this has the most to lose since maybe Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah.
Meaning like, this movie feels like it's a turning point and it's going to decide what direction the MCU is going to go in, moving forward.
You're 100% right. Guardians of the Galaxy was the audience saying, we're in.
Yeah.
Whatever you guys are doing, we're in. Audience is not saying that right now. Audience is saying, I don't know, what do you guys got? I'm barely in. I barely get my feet in at all. What Kevin Feige and the rest of them want to do is they want to get to, well, Spider-Man's pretty much kind of a short thing, but they want to get to those Avengers movies as fast as they can so they can just start the X-Men movie and get rid of all this other stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sadly.
Yeah. We'll see. What do you guys make of all of that? What do you make of the box office potential of all three of these movies? What do you make of the stuff that's coming out now, the summer, just battle that's happening with all these movies? Put your thoughts in there. Let us know.